So checking out full self-driving and all of the players in the market right now, Waymo is one of those who has kind of I won't call them the old guy, the OG FSD company, but they are and have been around for quite some time in developing some pretty interesting technology. We've had a chance to see it down here in Miami as well. But we're going to dive into that today. My name is Paul Barron. This is Tech Path, and joining me is no other than 2-Bit Da Vinci, Mr. Ricky Roy. Great to have you.
Hey, Paul, it's good to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Really cool show, and I'm excited to talk about FSD. This is, I think, one of those topics that we're going to be hearing more about, especially in 2021. This is going to be, people are buying cars based on if they have it or not.
For sure. And lots to unpack here. I want to kind of dive in. We're going to kind of jump into a couple conversations, but one of them specifically around Waymo. And when you look at what their CEO has been trying to do with this particular technology for quite some time, I want to kind of get your thoughts on where you think Waymo stands in the life cycle of FSD, because you've got obviously the players in the market like Comma AI, Tesla, all coming and converging kind of at the same time. Let's kind of dive into the Waymo. Have you seen some of Waymo's tech and kind of where they are today? Obviously, they're there in Southern California.
Yeah, I have had a chance to kind of read about them and stuff. I need to send them an email and see if I can get a hands-on. I know one of my friends, Matt Farrell, who has a channel called Undecided, had an invitation and he had a chance to drive around with it. And his feedback was largely pretty impressive that, it handled things like unprotected left turns with shockingly human-like precision. So there's room for optimism. I think what it comes down to is what Elon. So the way I kind of see this is you've got kind of Tesla versus all. That's kind of how a lot of the people frame this, especially on like social media. But Waymo decided that they're going to focus on LiDAR, which is a kind of a laser-focused radar system where light is sent out, it bounces back, and that delay tells you how far away it is. It's really good imaging technology. You could image and get depth to unbelievable levels of perception, of precision. Things like Face ID, I believe, use similar sensors. But the problem here is that they use cameras and computer vision, which is what Tesla's all about, but only as kind of a secondary thing, like to check is that sign, does that octagon shape, does it say stop? Because LiDAR can't tell what it says, only the shape and the distance and stuff like that. So Elon comes out and says, LiDAR is a crutch and it's stupid. And everyone kind of has formed their opinions about this. But we'll talk more about the nuance of it with other companies. But in the case of Waymo, they're going for the specialized solution. They're saying, drop this car in the middle of some forest and it'll find its way around. Chandler, Arizona, we're going to operate in this little area. And can we beat Tesla to market with that approach? Meaning, I can't take you to San Diego, but if you want to go from your friend's house in Chandler to your school and back, we can do that. Whereas Tesla's is the general approach. We have computer vision, which acts like a human being. It can figure out where you are, read stop signs, figure out pedestrians and stuff, and it doesn't care where it is. It'll figure out how to drive, the general solution. So that's kind of those are the kind of the battle sides, if you will, and kind of how this is shaped or how it's been formed the last couple of years.
Yeah, they've so they've done, I think it's around 3.2 billion into this company over the past couple of years. They've taken 11, now going on 12 years in development of this. A lot of people look at Waymo and maybe the technology advancements, the algorithms, just the learning AI itself wasn't ready to really kind of accelerate like what we have now with some of the companies who have kind of come onto the market with what seems to be very similar solutions. Now, whether or not it's equal, if you put them head to head in Chandler, Arizona, that would be an interesting thing. Once we see a real full self-driving, maybe 8.3 coming out with where Elon's talking about a lot of new updates on that, that would be an interesting head to head in a market that, like a Chandler, where you could kind of take a look and see how each one performs. I guess my question to you on this, because this is something that I think is John Krafcik, the CEO of Waymo, kind of is alluding to. It's almost like he's kind of like what you said, picking sides in the sense where he's saying, listen, we shouldn't be calling this stuff full self-driving. Instead, we should be calling what Tesla is doing driver assist. How long do you think driver assist would be the moniker, that Waymo would probably forever, that Waymo would like to kind of put on Tesla's full self-driving.
Yeah, this is I love Tesla. I'm a customer. I've been a fan for years. But the full self-driving moniker, first of all, is a little bit tricky because what you're selling
Yeah.
today for $10,000, which is a lot of
Yeah.
money for a lot of people,
Yep.
is not full self-driving. And I think
Exactly.
my issue with the term of full self-driving is it's almost not just an engineering problem, it is a
Hmm.
regulatory problem. I feel like
Yep.
your lawmakers in the state where you live are going to have the final say on what is full self-driving or not. So
Sure.
I don't think it's just an engineering problem. So that's part of the issue. Today, for sure, it's really impressive. And if you've ever I don't know if you've had a chance yet, Paul, to be in a car with the beta. It's pretty impressive. But in my time with the car, it had a couple of pretty big mistakes as well. So it's not perfectly ready for prime time, but it is pretty dang impressive. And what's the most impressive is how quickly it's iterating and improving, which is
Exactly.
fundamentally the benefit of machine learning. It's an incredible technological approach to this problem. But as far as calling it full self-driving, the challenge there I think will involve lawmakers, right? Like if you want to fly an airplane, it doesn't matter how innovative your approach is. You have this self-driving plane. You got to go through the FAA, and you better have all the onboard, squawks to be able to tell your tail sign and to answer hours. There's like a legislative part to it. So I'm thinking full self-driving might be the same sort of thing because do we really want a bunch of rebel wild wild west companies who don't really fully explain what they're doing? They're not qualifying anything to be able to operate this way. Like imagine
Hmm.
the potential problems. And I'm not saying like let's say Tesla does a great job of it, but let's say company B says, "Hey, we're just like Tesla. We have a self-driving thing too, and we want to
Yep.
drive autonomously." And bad crashes and stuff happen. So I think we're at the precipice of this new age of a self-driving car, which right off the bat scares people. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know this, but like airplanes today can fly themselves. There's no
Hmm.
reason why we have to have a pilot. Even like evasive maneuvers, and we could program how to make a plane fly itself. But you tell passengers to get on a plane with no pilot and see how that goes. We're humans. We just don't. We have a psychological part to this problem as well, which is I like to have a person who's in charge. I feel good
Yeah.
about having a pilot who's been doing this for 30 years and has a gray beard. So there's that part of it as well. So this is a nuanced problem, and I think there's probably 3 or 4 layers to it that maybe doesn't always come up right away.
Yeah, for sure. With where Waymo's CEO has kind of landed, and I think his intention is to kind of separate, like what you're just saying, the idea of full autonomy and full self-driving. One of the things he's kind of pushing for is that a driver assist, even though it may be highly intelligent, like a Tesla, would have to have a licensed driver in the seat. Where Waymo is literally going for full autonomy, that's kind of the difference. I think that's the line in the sand that Waymo is trying to draw, which goes back to your point on regulatory issues, especially in the state. I've had a chance to be in a full self-driving beta about 30 days ago. I have a Y, not full self-driving, waiting for the subscription to say, okay, I'm ready. Because I'm maybe like many who are saying, man, 10K for not a product yet. It's hard. But anyway, back to the point being, if Waymo says, all right, we're going to be fully autonomous, no driver needed. If Tesla, and they're pushing regulators to go in this direction of, if you are in a Tesla, it's not robo-taxi yet, so it needs a licensed driver, which kind of, obviously spreads the C right there. Do you see that giving Waymo an edge at eventually really developing what could be a robo-taxi fleet?
I think Waymo's probably further along in discussions with lawmakers as far as this technology goes than Tesla's. But
Right.
I mean, let's not make any mistake. Tesla's goal is the same. They want to tell
Yeah.
people that we're full self-driving and no person
Sure.
need be involved. And like their goal is you pull the Tesla app out and you say, I want to go and get some lunch. And a Tesla shows up from a robo-taxi network, either privately owned by individuals like you and I, or from Tesla, picks you up, drops you off.
Hmm.
Same sort of a thing.
Hmm.
So they're after the same thing. I think what Waymo is trying to do is use their advantage, disadvantage, and make it more clear, which is we don't actually build consumer cars. You're not buying a Waymo car. This is purely
Yeah.
for self-driving and a robo-taxi, whereas Teslas are fun and fast, and and saying for that reason it's more for the user, but that's maybe not exactly fair. There's no reason why Tesla couldn't be after the same problem and solve it and have
Yeah.
eventual approval to operate just like a Waymo does, right? There's nothing inherent to that. Just because we only want that, Tesla wants consumer cars plus that, but still, I don't think that should be a reason why people should think of Waymo as more serious in that regard, just because they don't
Yeah.
sell
Yeah.
commercial cars.
Obviously, their angle is that eventually this technology could be a kit that you could drop onto any kind of vehicle. So fleet operators, people that want to go into full self, we won't call it autonomous driving, the true robo-taxi, is going to be a benefit because you don't need a Tesla to do it, which is a big factor. The big issue, I guess, is going to be as we see the evolution of this taking place, and Waymo is doing this right now. In real life, we have driverless vehicles happening in Phoenix, Arizona, where this is occurring and people are kind of engaging. I've got some numbers on this I'll share with you in a bit around consumer sentiment, back to your point. But with that being the case, Waymo's doing it. They are trying to kind of separate the monikers or the terminology so that maybe making it harder for companies like Tesla to even get into full autonomy. Because how far do you think we are away from full autonomy if you look at kind of the iteration? And you're a software developer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Great questions.
you know that cycle. How long do you think we are before we see a true full autonomous Tesla?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a software engineer. I always joke that the funnest part about writing software is the first 80%, which you can have done in a couple of days. Like, hey, look, boss, we wanted to build X, Y, and Z. Look at it. It's working.
Right.
It's so cool. And then it's like, okay, now let's go spend 2 months on the other 20% of all the edge
Right.
cases of when you don't have network
Yeah.
connectivity, when there's little schmutz on the camera, when this isn't quite right, when the user has 100 apps open and there's no RAM, and all the million different things that can happen, right? So this is the same sort of a thing where it's kind of fun to think about, hey, let's build a car that looks at the road and predicts and drives. That's actually, you can get there pretty quickly, but the rest of
Right.
it can take a long time. So if I had to predict, I'd say the engineering side of it is probably maybe a few years, like 2 years away. I think there's maybe like a regulatory part of it as well.
Yeah.
Invite me back on the show in a couple of months, because what I'm going to do this year is try to talk with a lot of different companies to not just their media website, but like really what are they doing, and get a better feel for where we are in the industry. We've talked about Waymo so far, but one of the companies
Yeah.
I'm really bullish on is Cruise, which
Yeah.
was invested by Honda and GM. And
Yeah.
that gets into what I think is one of the problems with Waymo. They went the route of like, let's do it all ourselves. We're not going to partner with an OEM. We're going to build these goofy cars or build Chrysler Pacificas with this tech stack on it. That's probably kind of partly been why they've taken so long. So with Cruise, imagine if like in 2021 or 2022, some year, all General Motors, all Honda products come with this Cruise tech stack. And they announced that they're working with Microsoft, who has this
Yeah.
Azure software and machine learning as a service backend that's really world class. We talk about how advanced Tesla is, but Microsoft runs the world. Like, if Microsoft if their cloud computer clusters came down, like the world stops working. Like it would just, I mean, they're another level of mastery at this world. So working with them, now imagine if dozens of vehicles in the next couple of years are all feeding back data. Microsoft is aggregating it, building and improving their machine learning models. Cruise gets it back, and they have this great partnership. They can make up ground in a huge way, which is been part of the problem.
Yeah.
Waymo doesn't have 500,000 to 1 million cars on the road like Tesla does, but
Right.
you can't compare with the number of cars on the road from Honda and GM and Toyota either. So it's weird, different approaches. But I actually think I'm most bullish on the Cruise approach, which is a strategic partnership with OEMs to get this tech into cars, to get the aggregation of data accelerated 10x or 100x from where we are today, to further iterate and to land on a solution faster.
Yeah. So, and I think with Waymo, and I've had a chance, I worked with Microsoft in my early career in software development when we were building the original Windows 2.0. And one of the things that we found is that, and at that time we didn't really have any competition. Even Apple really was just in its nascent, period of time, even when Jobs was there. But the point being is that usually it's that early mover that gets you ahead. Now, granted, that has been the case. Google has been an early mover in a lot of different, technologies, of which they have in many cases abandoned, which is kind of the motif or MO of Google, where they have put so much into something for so long, and maybe there's not critical mass there, and they just say, okay, we're kind of done. And I kind of think that was the situation with Waymo, is they've been at it for so long. Waymo obviously, moving away from that, but do you feel like, I guess the question is Waymo too late? Are we at a point now where speed, the algorithms, the AI is here, and we have real life, functional vehicles to be able to just pour data back in? Is Waymo just in a position right now, they're just fighting for maybe the last straw at the table?
So here's an interesting question, and I'll ask you before I answer it myself. But
Okay.
if we talk about like who will be the first to be, approved to operate like a robo-taxi network in meaningful masses in different cities, there's technically a chance it could be Waymo, and it could be because they've LiDAR high definition mapped entire cities, and they have something where we'll keep updating the map once a month because trees grow and cover signs, or new stop signs get put up, and we have this high definition map. We can't operate outside of it, but we'll update it, keep it up to date, and operate. So potentially Waymo might be the first to really have self-driving cars out in the road.
Yeah.
But the problem is that business model is going to be really hard to scale because you're going to be investing in this mapping and this infrastructure in every city, right? So they're going to be early and first, and they might have some, but you can still be profitable. Imagine if you operated in NYC and San Francisco, and you had 10,000 Waymos out there. That's a hugely profitable enterprise. Maybe you don't work in Albuquerque or something, but so what?
Yeah.
You have some places where it does work. But I think the people who will win out in general, who will have approval to just operate a robo-taxi network where you hop in San Diego and I can drive to Miami or whatever I want to do, that I think will be the companies that really are focused on the computer vision part. So I will say this, if I was at Waymo, what I would do right away is build a box, kind of like what Comma.ai is doing. They have this kind of consumer box that has cameras built in. It has a sensor, it has a CPU, a full system on a chip, and it has all this, and it ties into your car's infrastructure. They should build a similar thing, and maybe they just use OpenPilot, which is what Comma.ai is working on, and they can become a code contributor to it. And then you have all these new cars that are qualified, like all the newer Hondas and Toyotas and all the new cars of 2018 and newer can operate on this technology, and you can have self-driving fleets of cars. Now you take this data and you feed it, and you can continue to improve on your model. That is the winning formula, I think, instead of what they're doing now, which is like kind of old-fashioned. I'm going to map an entire network of places and understand every little thing, as opposed to, we don't do that. Like, Paul, you don't go out there and map out an entire region of where you're going to go. You just use your eyes and you drive a car, which is what George Hotz, who's the founder of Comma.ai, always says. We don't do this stuff. Why not just do what people do? And we drive around pretty well. We can improve on that, but do it that way. So I think if they do the right things, there's a shot for them. But otherwise, don't be surprised if Waymo is kind of like, have you heard of Car2Go, which is like they, little car rental, like hourly service, and they're in big cities. They're not everywhere. They're not in smaller cities, but they operate in some small net markets and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe Waymo is the same way. Big cities, they have robo-taxis, and that's kind of their niche.
Well, they could, you're right. They could become the Lyft or one of the regional players of robotaxi when the rest of the players start to come in and invade the market with kind of this open approach, for sure. But it's kind of like the old Moneyball adage is the first through the wall always gets the bloodiest, and Waymo's been at it, crunching that wall for quite a while. So it's kind of interesting to see where they are right now, for sure.